nesting story. Today I wanted to tell you a story that I've been wanting to tell you for a while. I've never kept this part of my story a secret, but I've never gone into detail on video before about this part of my journey. I want to add a disclaimer here. I will be talking in detail about miscarriage and also about secondary infertility. I also just want to say that this is my journey, this is my story. I am in no way comparing it to anyone else's. I want to be very sensitive about the fact that I am very grateful that I do have 4 kids, that I had 2 children and fast pregnancies before I experienced this, and I think that's partly why I've been very sensitive about telling this story, because I in no way want anyone to think that I'm trying to overshadow their journey. But I also feel like Nesting Story began as a place for me to share my real experiences as a mom and my journey through motherhood. And I wanted to open up and share my experience because I think it's important to share real stories, because you never know who's gonna be watching and who might be going through something very similar. So and this is a really important piece of the puzzle for me. I feel like this was a very formative year for me, and it's really changed me a lot. I also want to say I'm doing this video in my bedroom because there are other people home. So I'm gonna rewind about 4 or 5 years right now, and I had 2 kids. I had Holden and Bo. I had got pregnant with them fairly quickly, and I'm so grateful that I'd had them. I had always wanted 4 kids, and after my first 2, I actually thought we might be done with our family. Holden had a lot of sensory issues and language delay when he was quite young. So after my first 2 kids, I felt quite burnt out, and I needed a break. Mike had always wanted 3 kids, and so after our first 2, he was very patient with me, but he also was quick to just say, don't close the door just yet. Let's just take a break and let's just see what we feel, if we feel like our family is complete or not. So after taking a little break after having our 2 kids, I did actually realize I wanted a third. So after Bo was about 2 years old, we started trying, and this was in January. So that first month we got pregnant, the first month of trying. It was so exciting because I had got pregnant quite quick before and had 2 healthy pregnancies. We didn't think anything about it. We told people almost right away. We told our kids right away. They were really excited. We told close family. And at about 5 weeks in, something was going a little funny. So basically, every time I've got pregnant, I've taken a lot of pregnancy tests. I think just for this reason alone, and I think there's that fear that it's just going to go away. And so with this one, that was no exception. And I had a really dark line, and I was for sure pregnant. But as I did more tests, I could see that the line wasn't as dark. So and then I started to get crampy, and I remember, I think it was like 5 or 6 weeks. It was very early on in my pregnancy. I went off to work one day, and I started to cramp a lot and start to bleed, and I knew what was happening. I knew I was miscarrying. But my worry was that I was having an ectopic pregnancy because I was having so much pain on one side. Now, I had recently had a friend who had an ectopic pregnancy, and that's when the pregnancy develops in a fallopian tube, and either it miscarries itself or sometimes surgery is required. So I was actually getting really freaked out at work this day when I was having this intense pain on one side, and I was starting to get into a panic, and I basically lied to my bosses and said that I was having an IBS episode, which I'm always very vocal about, that I can have tummy issues, and so that I need to go to the hospital, and they offered to drive. I said, no, I just need to go and get there, and I needed to get out, and I needed to go see a doctor. It was like this urgent feeling in my mind that I had to go see a doctor, and I don't know, I think it was the pain, it was the worry, but I think also I just needed someone to say, you're miscarrying, yes, this is what's happening. Like, I just needed to know for sure what was happening. So as I'm driving to the hospital, my parents were away, I'm calling my husband Mike, and he says I'm on my way, but he wasn't close by. So we called his mom, and she met me there. So I had Mike and his mom and myself at the emergency room, and they did all the tests, and sure enough, I had been pregnant and I was miscarrying, but there was no issues. It wasn't an ectopic pregnancy, and I had the nicest doctor. So I had a woman doctor there who calm my fears and my nerves and just my upset so much by just first of all validating how upset I was. Even though it was so early in the pregnancy, it was just this intense loss for me. I never experienced it before, but she said a couple things to me that made me feel better, at least for me. One of them was that she told me that she had 3 kids but has been pregnant 5 times, and told me how common miscarriages were. And that for me, first of all, made me feel a little more normal. And I think that's probably why I like to tell these stories, because it's just that sense of not feeling alone sometimes that can make all of the difference. So that was the first thing she said to me that made me feel a lot better. The second thing she said is there's been some studies that they believe sometimes that miscarriages are kind of the natural way your body, if there's something wrong with an egg, possibly that the body expels, you know, maybe a deformed egg or something that's wrong. I found peace with that too, just with the possibility that my body might just be doing what it's supposed to be doing. I went home, I was devastated. I really was. I was just so upset and shocked, and I had so set my mind that we were having this baby, and then it was just gone. We had to tell our kids, and they were quite young at the time, so they kept forgetting that I had miscarried. So for weeks after that, they kept saying things like, oh, when, you know, the baby in your tummy, or I had to keep saying, no, you know, we were wrong, or we thought there was a baby and there wasn't. That was a tricky one. I also called up some people who were close to me and told them, and talked to them about it, asked them questions about it, and just kind of, I think I had a hard time wrapping my mind around what a baby was at that point. Was it a person? Was it not a person? Like, I don't know. That for me was like a big head game. So without going, it was hard. And so to talk specifically about that miscarriage, since then, I really have empathy for anyone who is going through miscarriage or had loss, and it's given me the slightest taste of what some people experience of that intense loss. And again, I don't compare what I went through compared to someone who has a late-term miscarriage or has lost an infant, but I think it gave me that slight taste that you know, it ripped the rug right out from under me, and it opened my eyes a lot about that things can just disappear. It can just be taken from you. So that was hard. And for months after that, we tried to conceive with no luck. Now, I was in a very stressful work situation. I don't like to, you know, get into too many details. It just wasn't the right fit for me, and it was a bit of a stressful situation figuring if I should stay or leave. And I do think that that intense stress during that time did contribute to my infertility. Just talking to other people and doctors, I do think there's a bit of that flight or fight thing that can go on with your body, and I wonder if it was my body's way of saying, no, like, you are not equipped to be pregnant right now. You're dealing with an inner turmoil, and my body was just not ready. So we kept trying for months, and this thing happened to me, and I've talked to a lot of other women who've experienced infertility, and I'm pretty sure it's a common theme, that every month that went by that we were trying, it consumed me. It consumed me. Every little, you know, soreness in my breasts or little symptom, I analyzed it, and I obsessed, and I didn't know if I should have that glass of wine or not have that glass of wine. I didn't know if I should make plans for 9 months down the road or not. Trying to get pregnant, and when it's not in your control, can really do a number on your head. And I think that that's something that I've now realized for people who have gone through an infertility journey. It's a very silent struggle that a lot of women go through, and it every month on month on month, it can be so hard and devastating. And like I keep saying, I just had a taste of this experience, and I had already had 2 kids, so I just can't even imagine you know, what other people's journeys must feel like. So the months rolled on, and then September came, and I did a pregnancy test, and it was early on. I always tested those ones that were like, you could test 5 days early before your period was supposed to start. And I tested it, and there was a faint line. And basically with pregnancy tests, as long as if there's any kind of second line, you're pregnant, because you need that chemical in your body to create that line. So there was a faint line, got slightly darker one day, and then just faded away. I believe that I had a chemical pregnancy then, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's just like you're pregnant but momentarily in an extremely early miscarriage. So again, I had that loss, and I think because I had walked through before and I was starting to expect more of this, that I wasn't as shocked. I was very doubtful at that time. So again, the months went by, and then come November, I'm a problem solver, and I really just wanted some answers as to why my body suddenly could make babies, and all of a sudden something was happening. I don't have a thyroid. I had it removed about 15 years ago. I didn't know if there's something with my levels, or there's something with my body that could just be like slightly off that could be fixable. So we went to a fertility clinic, and we had our first meeting with the doctor. And he went through my whole history and how I had had 2 healthy babies, and he suspected in this conversation that there was probably nothing wrong, but it was too early to do any testing. So he said, look, take a month, go relax. In a month after your next cycle, we're going to do testing, and we're going to figure out what's going on. So I did that. I followed his instructions. Oh, and he specifically said, try that month. Keep trying, don't do any pregnancy tests. And so that month I did. I really relaxed, and I was able to just shelf the stress. And I think it was because we were having help, and it was like I passed my problem onto someone else, and I wasn't in charge of my problem anymore. And it was really, I was so glad that I reached out. And I did, I relaxed. I went a couple wine tours, had a couple glasses of wine, and I just completely relaxed. Well, at the end of that month, I had had a bit of a stomach flu, and then got better, and then all of a sudden got worse again. And I was due to get blood work done and a pregnancy test the following week, and I was told not to do a pregnancy test, but I thought, I've got to see. And I was already past, my period was late. So I did a pregnancy test, and there's 2 super dark lines on that pregnancy test, which was really exciting. And it was exciting to see really dark lines, because I had had a lot of experiences with light lines. So I knew I was pregnant, but I was very cautious. And I went that next week, and I found out that I was pregnant with twins. I'm kind of skipping ahead, but that's partly because I don't want this video to be the focus on our twin pregnancy. I will link below the video about our twin pregnancy and my C-section with my twins, but this isn't about that. So even during all the tests with them, I was just terrified and kept thinking something was going to go wrong. But in the end, I didn't take any fertility medication. It was just the most bizarre twist to the end of that year. But the thing that looking back at that year of just quite the journey, it was like this, my life had always been rolling along up to that point, and I had such control over my own life until that 1 year of secondary infertility and loss, that to have a year where it was totally out of my control, and my future wasn't in my fate, that was good for me. Like I think it was good for me to have a taste of what other people go through, and realize first of all, possibly how inappropriate I could have been in conversations previous to that, maybe asking people when they were gonna have kids and things like that. So that really opened my eyes. I became much more sensitive to maybe what other people's journeys are like. And I think also the other thing is that if I had got pregnant with our twins right when we started trying that year, I don't know if I would have been able to handle it. I think that that full year of trying really made me desperately want a baby, or instead of being like, yeah, I could have another one. And just that year of longing and loss and urgency to grow our family put me in the right headspace to have our twins, and I'm very grateful for that journey. I really feel like I learned a lot. It prepped me for what was ahead, and this, you know, the next chapter. And I always see triumphs and also these twists in the road and these hurdles in the road. I see my journey and I see my path and I see things that have happened to me along the way, and I'm grateful for every part of it because I feel like it's really taken me a certain direction that I don't think I could have ever taken myself without these challenges in my life. It's made me more empathetic. It has made me more sensitive. It has opened my eyes, and it's really made me appreciate life in general more. So that is my secondary infertility journey story and my miscarriage story. As always, I'd love for you to share your stories in the comments, but again, as always, I am very sensitive to the fact that that is something that you maybe want to keep private and not share, and I understand that. But I did want to share this part of my story with you because I really love to open up to all of you and let you in, and just maybe I'll reach that person that will see my story and just say, oh, I see a bit of myself in you, or maybe you know someone who's going through something similar and you can relate just a little bit more as to what they're going through. So I vlog twice a week. I put up vlogs on Mondays and Fridays, and I put out a different video every Wednesday, something like this. If you like this video, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love for you to subscribe. And if you have subscribed, thank you so much. It means so much to all of us. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.